record on this computer. Recording in progress. All right, family. I appreciate everyone for tuning into this call. I'm going to go ahead and record this as well. In fact, the recording is already going. So long story short, I've actually been meaning to run this kind of call / this type of training for a long time now. My idea behind this call is I'm going to give everybody the knowledge that I have in basically how I take photos. So at the end of this call, or if you're watching the recording of this, you should literally be able to either pick up a camera or pick up a phone and already have improved your photography skills. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share with y'all a nice little PowerPoint. Shout out to a guy. I wanted to give him some credit because he did help me put these together. You know, it was a big collective effort. He's just not part of the crew anymore. You know what I mean? So fella got a girlfriend, RIP all of his dreams and stuff that he told me. Yeah, moment of silence for my man because he's not here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. We got some people filing in. I love to see it. View, present. Bam. All right, so look, picture 101. All right, my buddy, let's just go ahead and call him A. All right, so my buddy A and me, we went ahead and put this together. You know, we were like, yo, what do people need? Like, if let's say you know absolutely zero, okay, you know absolutely zero about photography or absolutely zero about how to take a photo. We were like, what are some basic things that you should know in order to take a good photo? So look, this is just to kind of show you a little bit of our work, right? I'm not like a PhD. All right, technically if I had to make a resume for photography, all it would literally be is in high school, I took one class. That's it, right? But I truly believe, right, results speak a lot more. You got to have a lot more experience out in the field, right? So I went ahead and got some photos. The 3 photos on top are A's. The 3 photos on the bottom are me. So as you can see, we're really nice. A is actually known for his car photography. As you can see, the top left one, his work is nice with cars. He's really nice with cars. Me, so far, my clients have really just been people. If you don't know me, just know I'm a photographer. I charge people roughly about $90 for a 30-minute shoot. That gets them about 20 photos. So that's just an FYI. You know, maybe if photography is something you've been wanting to do, definitely encourage everybody to invest a little bit into it. It definitely pays out. Like I said, I charge people like $90 for like a 30-minute shoot. Super easy. 20 photos, super easy, right? Get paid. But I want to go ahead and go to the next slide. So general information you need to know about photography, right? So first off, you don't need an expensive camera to take good photos. All right. You just need to know what you're doing. All right. So don't think, oh, you know, I can't be like Lewis because I don't have a so-and-so. Oh, I can't be like Chris. I can't be like Jared because I don't have a so-and-so. Family, I went to OfferUp and I have my camera that I have right now for like $200. All right. The ROI on that thing is nice. Right? Only $200. I got the camera. All right. And like I said to you, I'll start to run more trainings for photography to actually break down settings and stuff. But this is just like a general welcome to photography 101. So that's biggest thing. You don't need an expensive camera. All right. I literally started my photography journey when I was about 5 years old by borrowing my mother's phone to take pictures on her camera. Now, I want to keep everyone in mind. All right. I was born 97. And when I was 5 years old, I borrowed my mom's phone. All right. There was no such thing as the iPhone with all these megapixels and all this camera quality. It wasn't like that. I had to be very creative with this old crummy phone. All right. So I was able to make it work because I knew what I was doing. Okay. Next thing, anything is a photo. You just have to get the right view. All right. Now I'll be breaking this down here in a little bit, but I just want to let you know from here on out, anywhere that you are, there is a photo that is able to be taken. All right. But you just have to work the angles. That is literally it. All right. Doesn't matter if you are at a park bench, if you are in the middle of nowhere, there is always a photo. You just have to look at it from the right angle, right? Much like, you know, kind of trading. There may always be a trade. You just have to have the right strategy for it. Right now, can now see your application. Okay, cool. So the third one, cloudy day. Fun fact, if you ever want to schedule a day to like go out there and get content, a cloudy or hazy day is actually one of the best days. Now, to throw some science at everybody, all right? When it is cloudy, right, overcast or whatever they call it, when the sun goes through the clouds, it actually gets, the sun rays get dispersed evenly amongst the ground. So that's why if you ever noticed when it's kind of cloudy, there are no shadows. That's because the sun rays, all right, rather than going straight down at Earth, they go through the clouds and get dispersed evenly, okay? Now, the next thing is make sure to focus on your main subject. All right. Whenever you're taking photos, whether it's people or whatever it is, your subject, you want them to be in focus for the most part, unless you get super fancy with it. You know, sometimes a blurry pic is nice, right? Ricky, he actually posted a really cool blurry picture the other day. All right. So 3 main points. Here we go. Now we're getting into some of the juices. So it's going to be lighting, rule of thirds, and composition. Don't worry if you don't know what those mean. I'm here to break it down for you. So the first one is lighting. I want to go ahead and just kind of educate y'all on 2 different types of lighting. There is soft light and there is hard light. Now, example, on the left side, this is actually a photo that A took. It's soft light. As you can see, she's got a glow to her. Her shadows aren't that hard, right? As you can see, it's not like the light ends right there, right? The light kind of fades. And then on the right side, this is actually a photo that I took. This is an example of hard light. You can kind of tell where the light source is because that is the shiniest part of my subject, as well as the shadows. They're very cut, right? Also, the best way I can put this as well, soft light and hard light, picture an old car. In old cars' headlights, for those of us that maybe have some like outdated headlights or something, your headlights, they kind of fade, right? Whereas if you get into a brand new car and you turn on the headlights literally end at a line, right? That hard line, that is hard light. And then that fade is soft light. So this is just something to kind of keep in mind when you're taking photos. Okay, is soft light creates soft shadows and hard light creates lines, right? As you can see on the right side of the picture, the light was on the top left of him, which is why it's like basically his forehead is lit up and then everything else is basically dark. Whereas soft light on the left side, it was the sun on the side and the sun's dispersing like that as opposed to directly put to. So when you're going out there, you know, be aware of your light source. All right, always check surroundings for where the light is coming from. Every time, and this is just out of habit as a photographer, this is just out of habit. Every time I walk into a room, I'm always paying attention to the lighting of the room. If you know me, like if you're in SAC or maybe we've worked together or whatever, when I'm in a room, I'm always looking around, checking out the lighting. You know, if you're at, you know, sometimes we go out to eat, right? If you're at a Red Robin, the light source is the lights that they have in the restaurant. If you're outside, it's most likely the sun, unless it's nighttime, in which case it's the lamppost, right? So next thing is you want to go ahead and position your subject to where light is covering them, right? So for hard light, you know, it's covering part of the face. So that way you can see some details. That's more of like an artsy fartsy photo. On the left side, the soft light, the light is hitting them from the side. Therefore, basically everything on her, everything on the subject has light. Just a quick iPhone trick, all right? You have your iPhone. Okay, let me see if I can have it show you guys this. So look, you have the iPhone, right? Hey, it's such a handsome face. So like if you tap it, you see that little square? Here's a fun trick. If you tap it and then hold your finger, you can actually control, I'm trying to do this, fam, like looking at the light. You can control the lighting of the photo. All right, so that's just something if like maybe you're like, oh, it's too dark, oh, it's too light. If you tap to bring up the square and then do this, one more time, let's see if I can do it backwards. I'm trying to do it backwards, fam. You can drag the sun up and down and that'll control if it's bright or dark. Okay, next one. So that was one. The second one, rule of thirds. All right, rule of thirds. Basically, here's we're gonna resume. Okay, so the next thing, number 2, is rule of thirds. Now, basically how to break this down. Picture an image as one big square, all right? And then if you draw lines amongst that square to kind of make a grid, like a 3x3 grid, that's what the rule of thirds is. It's basically that grid, right? So any image or your camera, right, on your phone, basically make that whole photo into a grid of 3x3 of squares. Now, also, to add on to the rule of thirds, this is also something I'll touch upon later, is where those squares connect, all right? These 4 dots right here, these are called golden points. These are called golden points. It's just some diction thrown at you, some vocab, all right? We'll get to that later. But basically, rule of thirds, that's what rule of thirds is. This helps you get a little artsy-fartsy with your photos, all right? So you set a subject on one of those lines of the 3x3 boxes to give a little artsy effect, right? It also allows you, by following rule of thirds, it allows you to create space in the photo by offsetting a subject. And I'll get into this in a little bit. And then, like I said right here, where the lines meet, that's called golden points. So example, right? We actually have Deshaun on here, as you can see. We got his album cover up on here. So look, check this out. So my photos are on the right, A's photos are on the left. Now, as you can see, he's really good at car photography. What's amazing about this is, as you can see, his subject is the car. It's not directly in the middle of the shot, right? But here's the thing. If you go ahead and you follow rule of thirds, right? If you draw that 3x3 diagram on the photo, as you can see, his subject is on that bottom row or on that bottom line right there. And that's what makes it kind of that artsy fartsy look, as well as helps the viewer actually notice things about the image. And we'll get back into that. That's kind of the third point that I'm gonna get into here a little bit. But also, like I said, it creates space in the photo. As you can see on the right side, right, the man Deshaun, shout out to man Deshaun. The bottom photo is what it looks like, right? So you just see him on the left side looking to the right, right? His little Men in Black, right? His whole Men in Black look. Now, here's the cool thing is, if you go and you look at the top right photo, I went ahead and drew up the rule of thirds, right? That 3x3 grid, I went ahead and pulled it up on the photo. As you can see, I have lined them up on the left side of the photo, looking to the right. Like I said, it gives it a little artsy fartsy effect, as well as creates space in the photo. If I had him looking that same direction, but I had him on that same side, it'd be kind of looking weird, right? Like, just like my little zoom camera, right? If I'm like this, boom, that's a lot better than if I was like this, boom. You know what I mean? It's almost like, yo, what's he looking at, right? So by positioning your subject on the opposite side of where they're looking on the rule of thirds, it allows to create space in the photo itself. Now, composition. So basically, how we're going to go about this one, I'm going to have a few things to talk about composition, but overall, you know, composition is really just kind of what's going on in the photo, right? So we have, under composition, we have visual attention, which is actually, visual attention is a way to kind of manipulate your viewers' eyes to have them look at your image in a specific way. So visual attention is how to basically take a photo to where you know how a viewer is going to look at it. Now, background, you know, with background, there comes noise, there comes clutter, or it can be clean, basically everything that's happening behind your subject. Now, foreground. Foreground is the opposite of background. It's what's in front of the subject. All right, after that, we have angles. You know, like I said, anything is a photo. You just have to get the right angle. All right. So I put right here, you know, you got to get creative with it. You know, sometimes you got to get on a knee, you got to climb a ledge. I'm letting everybody know right now, I have had to lay down in subways to get photos. I have had to put my knee down into some like old gum to get that specific image. All right, get that right angle. So I'm letting you know right now, as a photographer, if you're ever out there trying to get some good photos, you might feel like you look ridiculous. And honestly, that's facts. You do look ridiculous, right? You can ask Chris, you can ask Jared, this on this call. Every time we're out taking photos, to get that right angle, sometimes you got to move around a little weird, right? There's been times where I've literally had to stick almost my whole entire body out of a moving car to get the right image, to get the right angle. Now, like I said at the very bottom, always experiment with angles, fam. Always experiment with angles. Now, here we go. Leading line, okay? More diction. Leading line. Basically, all leading line is, it's drawing the viewer's attention towards or away from your subject. Now, kind of to go back onto the rule of thirds, right? The 3x3 grid on a photo. All you're doing with leading line is you're taking something from the edge of the photo and bringing it towards the middle, or vice versa. You're taking something from the middle of the photo and bringing it out, right? I drew these nice arrows to just kind of see, you know, technically these arrows are leading lines, right? Because they go from the outside to the inside. Now, boom, I got some imagery for you guys. We got some people coming in too. So leading line, like I said, it's drawing the viewer's attention towards or away the subject. Okay, these are all my photos. As you can see, this one of Kiani McGee, I actually have this leading line right here. I went ahead and made sure to have the arrow just to kind of make it clear. This I don't, it's a curb. It's a curb. So this curb I had at the very bottom right of the photo, and I had it trail along to the middle towards my subject, which is Kiani. By doing so, that creates some visual attention, right? It kind of guides your eye to Kiani McGee. Okay, next to that, we have Dre, right? I have the bench that goes from the left side to the middle, which is where Dre's at. I also have his foot also aligned with the bench. So that way you kind of look at it from the left, viewing the bench, then you see his shoe, then you see his leg, and then you see him. Now, we also have this right here, right? This is actually Louis right here on an escalator. The edges of the escalator, the little hand grippy parts that are always rotating and the little shoe cleaner things that, you know, hopefully everyone messed with as kids, those I have as leading lines going from the edge of the image to the middle. So it basically has like a tunnel effect on the viewer to look at the subject. Okay, now we have background. Background is just what's going on in the background. Okay, so we have this image of Kiani, pretty good background. You know, maybe if I knew Photoshop, I could take out the little store part right here, but it's nothing too bad, right? It's not like taking too much attention away from Kiani. We just have a simple white, black, and brown in the background, nothing too crazy. Dre's photo, the background's a little crazy. We got these mirrors going, or these windows, you know, we got the tree going, we have these wires. There's a lot going on, right? There's a lot of clutter in the background, but it's still okay. We still made a way to make it work. Now, Louis, right here, this last one. This last one's nice because there's really nothing there. You can't mess it up, right? It's literally just him. He almost looks like an angel coming down from the heavens with the escalator, right? Because there's nothing going on in the back. All right, now foreground. Foreground is used to create a sense of depth. This is actually something that I learned from Jared and his work. As you can see, Jared right here doing his Dougie with the camera. I went ahead and highlighted the foreground just so that way you guys could see it, okay? Much like the markets, you know how sometimes when you first get started, you don't really see the trend, you don't see the support and resistances, you kind of have to draw it up. That's what I'm doing here. I'm at the point where I don't really need to draw out the foreground, the background, the leading lines, the rule of thirds. I just kind of already see it as if I see a trend in the markets, right? So right here, the foreground, it's legs, right? People are sitting in chairs. I went ahead and got the same angle, right? I had to crouch down and get the angle so that way you can see the foreground. So basically, it creates depth in the photo. Now we have this middle one, Malachi. I have the bush in the way, right? It creates a sense of depth. This one right here with Kiani, I have this fence with some leaves up front, right? It creates a sense of depth. Okay, now angles. Angles. I cannot stress this one out enough when I said there's literally anything is a photo. You just got to get the right angle. Okay. Like I said right here, first point, anything is a shot, just need the right angle. Yes, accept the fact that you may look funny. All right. Got to put the pride, got to put the ego aside. If you're trying to get the photo, get the photo. All right, get the photo. It doesn't matter what you got to do. You got to go upside down. You got to jump into a tree. You got to lay down on the ground. It doesn't matter. Get the angle. It's going to be worth it. All right, it's going to be worth it. Next, the biggest thing I want to tell everybody about angles is think 3D, not 2D. All right, now the reason why I said this is because as a photographer, I want to let everybody know this. As a photographer, as I'm going about my life, right, whether I'm on calls or whether I'm like out in the world, I'm never looking at things really how I view them, right? So like my phone, boom, on the camera. I'm not looking at this square. I'm looking at it as a cube kind of, right? Just like this little image right here. I'm saying, hey, I see it right here, but what happens if I went ahead and I turned it a little bit? Or what happens if I got up a little bit and looked down at it? What happens if I went underneath it and looked up at it a little bit, right? You got to do the same thing with your subjects, right? So subjects can be anything, like I said, if you're trying to take a picture of a flower, you're trying to take a picture of somebody, whatever it is, you have to think three-dimensional, not two-dimensional, all right? If you have to do a complete 360 around somebody to kind of see an image, then do it. I highly recommend it. In fact, that is literally what I do to this day. And that's what I also used to do back in the day. Okay. When I'm out there, and some of us have seen me do my work, you know, some of us have seen Chris and Jared do their work. When we are out there, we're always moving around different angles, right? For some of us, you might have seen me, you stand right in front of me, yet I'm not directly in front of you. I might go to the left of you. I might go to the right. I might have you climb up a ladder. I might have you sit down on the ground and I might get up, right? Vice versa. You want to go ahead and think three-dimensional and think, okay, how can I move around the subject to get a cool angle? Now, quick recap. All right, quick recap. We learned 3 things today. We learned lighting. All right, remember to look for hard/soft light, right? Is there a big shadow being casted on your subject, or does it kind of fade? Rule of thirds, positioning of your subject in the photo. Are they on the left side? Are they on the right side? Are they on the golden points? Does it look a little artsy fartsy? The third one, composition. What is going on in the whole photo? That's basically what it is. Composition is what is going on in the entire photo. How does it look? Is there a lot of distractions going? Is it nice and neat, right? For some of us with trading, right? Some of us may have a few lines. Some of us like to make it look like a disco with hella colors and stuff like that. It's the same principle. But that being said, family, I want to say that is it. So I'm